Desperate MILFs 8-pack, books 9 through 16. MILF Erotica, Breeding Erotica Collection. Written by Tori Westwood, narrated by Jett.
Sex with my friend's son in the sauna. Desperate MILFs. Lauterbrunnen was an amazing place. Since seeing photos of it, I dreamed of going there. But Switzerland seemed so far away. After divorcing my husband, I decided to throw caution to the wind and blow my savings on the trip of a lifetime. But traveling alone was something I wasn't quite brave enough to do. None of my friends had quite the same lust for adventure, or couldn't get the time off work. But Kathy suggested I invite her son, Ethan, who was always keen to explore. He was 19 and in between jobs, but he had still managed to save a fair sum of money working over the summer doing admin for a local law firm. Ethan was a hard worker in every aspect of his life. He'd done well in school, pushed himself in sports and at the gym, and had an incredible outlook on life. Kathy must have done something right along the way, raising someone like Ethan. And so the two of us set off at the start of summer, heading for the Valley of Waterfalls and adventures that had been so tantalizingly teased in every write-up that I'd read about Lauterbrunnen. We made quite the odd couple. Ethan was 19, and I was in my mid-40s, but I was determined to keep up with him. I rented a hire car from the airport, and we drove out, meandering through the roads and beautiful scenery. We stopped several times on the way, taking in photographs of lakes backdropped by snow-capped mountains. And yet we'd heard Lauterbrunnen was even more beautiful. It didn't seem possible until we drove into the valley at our destination. "Wow, Hannah, you picked a good spot," Ethan said, staring in awe out of the windscreen. It looked like a place out of time. Huge A-frame chalets dotted the hillsides that stood transformed into vast vertical sheets of cracked rock that surged up to the sky. Waterfalls spewed from the precipice, some of them firing out over the sides and disappearing into mist in the air on the way down. Others were more violent and splattered out in tremendous volume, crashing into the valley floor and running towards a fast-moving river that meandered through the valley floor. Ethan reached across and squeezed my thigh. "It's incredible." I looked down at his hand and then across at him. It felt surreal to feel his touch. Surreal to feel any touch. I'd been without a man for so long and secretly hoped I might find my alpine lover somewhere in this small town. I never considered it might be Ethan. I stared at the view ahead, slowing the car and looking for the turning to our chalet. It really was equally amazing. It seemed every view from the valley floor was incredible, and none more so than the view from our chalet's garden. I opened the lockbox at the door and grabbed the key to get inside. We changed quickly, keen to get outside and into the fresh, cool air. Our host had left us a list of instructions and information on the coffee table, and I scanned quickly. "Sauna," I said aloud, looking to Ethan. "It has one?" "Underneath, apparently." I didn't even notice. Ethan went outside, and I heard him laugh. "Come look, Hannah." I went outside with him and rounded the corner of the house. Tucked away underneath in a kind of cellar was a small room decked in wood. "Looks cozy," Ethan said, looking back to me with raised eyebrows. "We can share, can't we?" I asked, sticking out my bottom lip playfully. Ethan smiled. "Of course we can," he said, "but I want the top bench." "Deal," I laughed. "Now come on, let's see what Lauterbrunnen has to offer." I locked our door and walked briskly to catch up with Ethan, who was already taking snaps of the valley. He wore a pair of dark green shorts that showed off his muscled legs,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?